Namaskar and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. And today we are going to talk about many different aspects and especially the youth empowerment based on Shastra. I have stopped speaking scriptures, as you all know, Sanskrit intranslatables. So I'm only speaking about Shastra. Shastra means ancient Vedic literature. And we have a very special guest who is a practicing family person and also runs a very famous temple in the city of Kolkata. Kolkata was the capital of British India, and a major trade route for British. The British, they ruled from London and Kolkata. So without delay, let us welcome Sri Radha Raman Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Radha Ramanji, first of all, just tell me why the youth, seem to be distracted nowadays on the Shastra, or do you think I'm wrong in assessing that? Or do you think they are very attracted to the Shastra?
No, actually, one of the qualities of Kali Yuga, the era in which we are living, current age, is that we will be distracted.
Yeah.
So our scripture says that in Kali Yuga, this concentration power is very less, and people are distracted because there are so many things. So that is one of the nature of this era in which we are living. But scripture also, same time, it says that it's golden opportunity also, because as we know that in this era of distractions, the Bhagwan or God has the minimum thing. If we do, we can achieve the highest, which was not possible in other ages. And also we say the technology, and we are distracted in so many things. Like even nowadays, they are making movies which are 10 minutes of duration. So everything is becoming less, because people also know that to hold people attention for more than 2-3 minutes is difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is this is the era in which we are living. So we have youths are distracted. Everyone is distracted. So yeah.
No, but you also mentioned a very positive thing, because the even though the attention span is less, but if people are making shorter videos that you said, and they can get the message over there. So what is the shortest message to become a perfection in yoga?
The shortest message is Bhagavatam is considered to be the essence of all Vedas. After writing vast many Vedas, the writer of Vedas, he was morose. Then his spiritual master came and he asked that, what happened, Vyasdev? Why you are so morose? You have composed the vast, the mines of knowledge. Everything is there. So why you are morose? So Narad Muni asked him, Vyasdev. So Vyasdev replied, actually, I'm just wondering, because in Kali Yuga, people will have very short memory. Everything will be very short. Their concentration will be short. And this vast knowledge, if even a person, if he starts to flip one page, just forget about reading it. So if just he starts flipping the pages of Vedas, it will take 1,000 years just to flip. So, and also because the people of Kali Yuga are not intelligent enough to understand, the mantras and the slokas. So I'm a little bit worried, all this effort is going to be useless. Then his spiritual master Narad Muni, he advised, he told Vyasdev to compose a literature which will be commentary on the Vedas, and which will be precise, short. Then Vyasdev, he composed Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam has 18,000 slokas. But it is possible in our own lifetime to read it, go through it. And the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about, like the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam carries the essence of all Vedas. So it says that in Kali Yuga, by chanting the names of God, we can achieve the highest perfection. So the Mahamantra for this age of Kali Yuga is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is the essence of all our Shastra. So in short, like if in one sentence we want to say, anybody chanting Mahamantra, then if he starts just practicing it daily, then slowly he will realize that all the knowledge and the secrets of Vedas will be opened in front of him. And we also say, like in ISKCON, I was in Russia and I saw there many Russian people, they were communists, hardcore communists. But when Srila Prabhupada took the message of Bhagavad Gita to Moscow, to Russia, and he was there for only a few days, 3 days. And he just interacted with one Russian young man, youth. And in those 3 days, Prabhupada was carrying only one book, Bhagavad Gita. And he gave that Bhagavad Gita to that Russian boy. And he initiated him. He gave his beads to him and told to chant Mahamantra daily. And that was the only contact Prabhupada had with any Russian. And then Prabhupada came back to India. That was in 1971. And this Russian boy, he started chanting Mahamantra. And he started Krishna consciousness movement in Russia. And Krishna consciousness is most vibrant in USSR, in current Russia, than any other part of the Mahamantra empowered that youth, that young boy, and he became enlightened, and everything follows. When I was there in Russia, in 91, I was surprised by the devotions of Russians. And then they understand the spirit of Vedas and they practice. And most of they have achieved this by starting to chant the holy name Mahamantra. So I personally saw that how Mahamantra can open the deepest, the highest secret to anybody who starts practicing that Mahamantra.
No, many of the scholars who have I have spoken to, many of the scholars do not give so much importance to Srimad Bhagavatam, and just to and you put out a very good story that how Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all Veda. But many of the scholars, they immediately jump to Rig Veda or some other Veda, and they quote from there usually. But I have hardly seen anyone quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam other than the acharyas. Acharyas always, the Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya or even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they directly quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam. So why is that disconnect in today's scholars and the followers of and the acharyas, actually, even the acharyas?
Actually, the problem is that scholars, they love to analyze things, and when they see in Bhagavatam, it is said that it seems that Bhakti is very simple, very simple. So they are surprised that how can it be so simple? They want some adventure, but there is no mind this thing or mind exercise for them there. Bhagavatam says that how to love God through devotion, and devotion is very simple. Even a small boy can do it. Anybody can do it. So scholars, they don't find it challenging enough. So I think that's why they're looking for something, some exercise for their mind. So Sometimes what happens that when we are scholars, we become complicated. But definition of devotion is to become uncomplicated. So that's why, and even if they don't, even if like Bhagavad Gita is accepted as the highest granth for all Sanatanis. So in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself says to Arjuna, Pushpitam Vacham, Vedas are, like they don't get confused by the flowery language of Vedas. And Bhagavad Gita also speaks, in the last it says, Lord Krishna says that, Bhakti Yoga is the highest. By just, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes all yogas, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, everything, Jnana Yoga. But at the end, what Krishna says to Arjuna? Sarvadham Parityaja, give up all religion. God is telling Arjuna to give up all religion. Sarvadham Parityaja, Mam Ekam Sharnam Vraja. Arjuna, you just give up all religion, just you surrender to me. So surrender to Krishna means, that is he's speaking about devotion or bhakti. So bhakti has to be very simple. Like Gyan Yoga, Sat Yoga, founder of ISKCON, he used to give example. Like suppose if somebody is wants to climb 100-story building, so if he's climbing through stairs, it's a very difficult task. It will take long. You have to take rest also in between different floors. Because climbing 100-story building is very difficult. But if you just go by lift, then it's very easy. You have to just push the button and you have to just wait. So Bhakti Yoga is like that. You are in a lift and you just press the button on which floor you want to go. So some people might not feel it challenging, but the point is that if you can easily achieve the highest, what is the need to struggle and complicate our lives?
No, very true, because they don't get the juice of mental speculation, and because the Bhagavatam is so direct, and then it is very straightforward, and so people don't find it very challenging enough for intellectuals. And many of these people, they confuse other people, like you just said, that they make it very complicated. And nowadays, if you tell something simply, just do this, they think that this is not enough challenging for them. But when they start chanting a mantra, then they'll see the challenges, that how mind runs away, from here and there and small things. Another thing which is very much misquoted nowadays is one Vyasdev versus many. These are all the things go on. They say there are many Vyasdevs, or some things have been, so if they do not agree with something, they say it has been added later on. It's not the essence. Have you heard that logic? It has been added
Yeah,
later.
yeah. Actually, there is a saying that if you want to confuse a person or a civilization, then just people, they just misquote, or they produce another narrative to confuse the people. That's why it is very necessary that when we are practicing, when we are following a dharma, then that's why the role of guru is very important. And we have to choose a guru, so that we are not confused by the scholars, or if we have doubts, then that can be cleared. And we have to also understand those who are advising on our religion, do they follow? If somebody is just advising and not following the dharma or Sanatan dharma about which he is speaking, then I think we should not listen from him. Only a practitioner of Sanatan dharma can guide you perfectly. A scholar cannot. A mental speculator cannot. So that's why we should be very careful about mental speculators. If what they are saying, or what from where they are quoting, if they don't practice in their own life, then that's if the scripture couldn't change them, it means that they have understood it all wrong.
Now, that is another bigger challenge which you just put across, how to find a actual practitioner, because many people, they claim to be Sanatani. I have seen Americans claiming to be a Sanatani also, and but they do not follow. And another thing they mention is how to find a guru, and so they get carried away with a lot of people who look like guru and they speak very high words. Ved, like you just said, Yam Imam Pushpitam Vacham, Ved Vadarata Partha. Like this exactly you quoted just now. And then so how uh how can people identify a follower, and how do people identify, because everyone claims to be Sanatani. Like I get confused sometimes. People say Sanatani Yodha, Sanatani this, Sanatani that, and it's very difficult to say anything because we look like we're judging people.
Yeah, actually, we should not jump on a, we should be very careful because there are also, we know that we might get cheated also. And it's not that even like there are different gurus, but we should be very careful. Like we should listen, we should observe them that what they're speaking, they're practicing or not. And more importantly, we should start with reading Gita at least, and then we should chant the Mahamantra. And when we start practicing, then and we can pray every day sincerely to the Lord that kindly I sincerely want to know about you, about the Lord, and please guide me to reach a right guru, or or guide me. So one step at a time, because we can get overwhelmed if we just start thinking I have to find guru, guru, guru. So we can get overwhelmed. So we can start practicing. We should associate. We should listen to different people, and our self practice in our life. Maybe we can start chanting Mahamantra and devotion. Like we can start at our home. We start to offer food to God, and whatever, like we should start whatever Krishna is telling in Gita. We should start slowly practicing it, and for sure, if our desires are sincere, for sure, Krishna or God will guide you to the right person.
See, another great point you said, Radha Raman Prabhu. Uh, Another important thing comes to the mind is immediately people are jumping to Sanskritization. So the language. Now, common people understand a different language, and there are some people who speak Sanskrit words, and it is difficult. It is a good movement to introduce Sanskrit more than English words. Like the English words can have very bad meaning. Like for example, demigod has a bad meaning in the literary world because of the history of the demigod. The demigod comes from the Christian theology. Now people are substituting that with devta, devi, and other things. So what is happening is, yes, the speakers of the native languages like Hindi, Bengali, Telugu, for them it is very easy to understand. But people who are educated in English medium schools, even in India I'm talking about, or in the West, they are not used to those terms. So there is a whole exercise is built on first introduce those terms and do that. But meanwhile, people who are practicing Sanatani and are involved in preaching activities to the West and to other communities, for them, they have to use the English language. So, but what happens is that when you confuse the two, it creates a very elitist kind of mindset that I am a Sanatani and I use pure words. So people get caught in the words rather than the essence. Like you just said, the essence is that it is a very simple, but people get caught in the words that I don't have to use this, I have to use this. So now the focus has gone away from following to appearing a good Sanatani. Or so what do you have to say on that, sir?
Actually, there are very different traps on road to devotion, because we have to understand achieving what, like if somebody gets devotion, or if Krishna awards devotion to a person, do you know what it means? It means that the Supreme Lord, the God or the controller of everything, uh, he is giving himself to that devotee. So it's a very, very big thing, like, so God, Krishna, he really wants to check out that if our motives, and if we don't have any ulterior motives, and if our desires are pure. So when we walk on the path of devotion, or even on path of dharma, then there are different tests on the road. So we have to pass, we have to go through those tests, and we should not get caught into some something, and forget our what we on the first place, what we wanted to achieve. Because Krishna can give you wealth of this world, God can give you anything of this world, but giving himself to a devotee is a very big thing. So suppose some a bad person, if he gets control of Krishna, then he can do a lot. So that's why Krishna wants to filter, and on the in the process of devotion, he checks if our focus is genuine or not. So this karma yoga, dhyana yoga, this we have to be Sanskrit word also, like we have to be perfect. Unless we become perfect, we should first make this perfect, and then we should practice devotion. So these are like Maya's Maya traps. So we should be careful about it. It is important, but we should not get caught into those things, so that we lose our focus.
It's another trap. You said it's another trap. Yeah. So one of the things which comes, another thing which comes, and Radha Raman Prabhu, I know you for many years, so I can ask you that question. Many people get into the shloka bombing, I call it. They just remember shloka and then throw shloka at any place, and just to prove their scholarship. But they miss out an important element, is the message behind the shloka. Like you just said, quoted one shloka just now, the Sarv Dharman, and then Ma Shucha, do not fear, in the last line of that shloka. So the how important is to understand the shloka more than remembering the shloka.
It's very important. Actually, Krishna, there is a very famous pastime of a Brahman, poor Brahman. So I don't know, he was Brahma, he was a poor devotee. He was every day he used to sit outside a temple in South India, and he used to hold Gita, and he used to cry whole day. And people used to laugh at him because he was not educated, and he was not forget about being a scholar. He even didn't knew Sanskrit. So, and he used to hold Gita in wrong way, because he even didn't know that which way is the right way to hold the book. And people used to make joke of him. And then we know that later on, he was a pure devotee of Krishna, because Krishna doesn't care about if you understand sloka or not, or if you can read sloka correctly or not, but what is inside your heart, feelings. Krishna is bhavgrahi. So that is the most important thing. And of course, learning sloka, that is part of bhakti, is good. But the most important thing is, if you have that bhav. If you don't have bhav, if you are the greatest scholar, you will not, Krishna, you will not get the devotion. Your scholarship doesn't guarantee devotion. Wrong to think that by becoming scholar of Shastra, or by knowing Sanskrit, I will understand the essence of Gita. That is very wrong thing to conclude. Because in 9th chapter, Krishna himself says that Guhyam, this knowledge of Gita is most secret. But today you can purchase Gita here in India for 2 rupees also. Gita Press publishes all sloka book for 2 rupees. Now I think it's 5 rupees. So it's widely available. So, but Krishna is saying that it is the most confidential knowledge. So how can it be confidential if it is available and anybody can purchase for 2 rupees? Because just by purchasing a book, or by reading Gita sloka or becoming a scholar, you will not understand the secret. The key to understand Gita or enter the realm of devotion is humility and your devotion alone. Bhav.
Now, devotion also, and so nowadays I'll just put two things together now. Bhakta is become a very negative word, and so you have to speak on that a little bit. And the second is devotion is also considered negative because you are blindly giving up your individuality and following someone blindly. Do you think that's the right way of understanding it?
No, again, it's like Bhakta is for thousands. This is a 1,000 year, like 100,000 year old word. It's an eternal word, Bhakt and Bhakti. It's unfortunate that a few people, especially leftist missionaries, Marxist people, they are connecting it with a certain party or a certain leader. But it's a disservice on it's very bad thing that they're connecting it. But bhakti is eternal, bhakt are eternal. So that is there again. Again, we have seen here in India, Bollywood or mainstream media, over and even the educational system. Mullah, Marxists, and missionaries, they have controlled our institution, this Bollywood media and our education system. This is being controlled by Marxist mullah missionaries for last 70 years, and we Hindus are busy in our own thing. And every Bollywood film, they make a joke of our Sanatani cultures, our Sanatan Dharma, our traditions, and media, they highlight anything. They portray sadhus in bad light. Of course, there are attacks, but it doesn't mean that they demonize the whole Sanatan Dharma or Vedic Sanskriti. And even educational system, they only speak about Mughal era, and they don't make us. They don't discuss about other. It seems that only India, Bharat started from Mughals, and they glorify Mughals. So this is all. There is a high level of propaganda also. So we should be very careful. That's why they take a glimpse of Sanatan Dharma and they try to associate them in bad light, so that new generation especially started hating this word, like bhakta, devotion. It means something very bad. So we have to fight that propaganda also. It's very important for all of us. We have to give our own narrative. This world is about narratives. We have to set the narrative. They have set narrative and propaganda for last 70 years. But why the Hindus or followers of Vedas could not? Because we were on our own little things, and these people, they through propaganda, through Bollywood, through media, through education, control over our educational system, they have controlled. And of course, if we see 70-80% of Hindu youths, they don't know about Gita. Just ask any question about Ramayana, Mahabharata, they will not be able to say who is, how many brothers Ram has. Like I was just seeing on social media, somebody was asking how many brothers Lord Ram have, or different questions from our scripture Ramayana, Mahabharata, and all of them were giving very funny answers. So it's very sad. Like Bollywood has become our Ramayana, Mahabharata. So the fault lies also with our Hindu families, our that we don't focus. We're just even going to temple has become very rare nowadays. So we all have to work on it.
No, one of the studies that I came across was, see, you mentioned about and I'll come to this question, and after that I have something else, since you touched Bollywood a little bit. The one of the things which is today is that it is generally said Hindus are not united. But I can tell you, most of the other faiths follow their book or quote from their book. You will never see Hindus quoting from Bhagavad Gita generally. So unity can be brought on a single point, which is our scriptures. That's how Muslims are united. That's how Christians are united. But Hindus don't unite around Bhagavad Gita. What is the reason for that?
The reason is we only. We can't blame others. Of course, there are reasons like through educational system. There are a lot of even our constitution is partial about against us. And if we just keep quiet, then what will happen? Hindus don't have a right to manage, administer their own temples. And there are Article 3030A. It allows other, those from minority religion to have their own schools, educational colleges, and they can teach their scriptures there. But Hindus, they don't have that liberty. So why we Hindus didn't oppose this article, which is very, very biased against us? Because we all are sleeping. We are into Bollywood and in our own things. Hindu parents, they are just focusing that if my children can become engineer or doctor. But we have to understand, actually we have forgotten dharma, importance of dharma. So that is very sad. Like a Muslim, any Muslim family, they are teaching Quran to their children. A Christian, they are teaching Bible to their children. But Hindu, they are not, reading Gita. So fault lies with us. But I'm seeing that youths now they are taking steps forward. But this is a very little like a lot has to be done in that regard. All Hindus has to read our own scriptures and of course quote from it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the point that how the media and the education system is, and also the Article 3030A is biased against Hindus. And I don't see that coming into any election propaganda, nowhere in India. Such an important element of Hindu culture, and India is the only country where the majority is subdued by the law. So, so people will jump on to these political issues very easily, and I am surprised this has not happened. But the other thing which you mentioned, that we don't teach scriptures to our own children and then expect them to be dharmic. And the worst thing comes is going to Quora and Wikipedia. Quora and Wikipedia have all misinformation about Hindu culture, Sanatani culture, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explained as one small Bengali saint who started Bhakti movement in 1500 something. But the Bhakti you said is since the beginning of creation. Brahma was the first Bhakt. So how this social media has destroyed the identity of Hindus.
Yeah, of course. Actually, social media platforms, they are very, very powerful. Very powerful. Like if on Google, if any youth, he wants to know about, as you said, Lord Chaitanya, the first page he will get will be Wikipedia. And if there is a lot of Muslim mullah, again, they have control over Wikipedia. And the founders of this social platform, they have very strong leftist leaning. So this is a open fact, and they openly tweet about it, or they discuss. Yes, they are leftists. So they are using these platforms to again suppress Hindus even more. So if we just leave our youths on the mercy of Wikipedia or Google to know about their religion, then that will be in a few years whatever they want to propagate, or whatever narrative they want to set, they will be successful. So that's why it's very important that we should move out from this social media platform. We should, unless it's neutral, truly neutral, or unless it search engines, they truly give truth is they speak truth, but they speak propaganda. Actually, these are all business tools. Google has become business tools, Facebook, all this thing. So they do things for their own profit. So that's why importance of Gurukul, or we should not centralize anything. So that's why it's important that in whichever locality, like in each locality, we should have some Sattology club or Ramayan club or whatever you can name it. And in the evening, the local, the parents can go, the children can go, and there or a temple can become clubs. Like a temple should not be only place where we go and just ghanta bajaya, we just ring bell and then do some aarti and come back. No, a temple should be a place where also they should know about their shastra. There should be. I remember when I was very small, I was living in one army camp, and there used to be a temple. And every evening, one Panditji used to give a katha, and it was very interesting. So we used to go and we used to listen. So that was the Indian culture. Like in evening, at least everyone used to, with family, they used to go to temple for some time, for 1 hour, and they used to pray and also listen to the Panditji or devotee who was there. And those times we remember, because that was very happy times. We had full family time together, and so I think we should start reviving this culture. And in India, especially in ISKCON temples, we facilitate that. So, but of course, ISKCON has only 700, 800 temples. So, if I think that each locality should have that kind of temple, small temple, a small setup, or a Sattology club or Ramayan club associated with a temple, and the local should support that temple. So we can make an ecosystem like that.
Very good point you made, and I wish your words become true. And we open Sattology club in every village. Now, coming to the important aspect of when we talk about another thing which you mentioned, that the happy moments, happy experience about listening to katha and then building some character through that katha, you remember even now, which you experienced in small childhood. Today's children don't experience that. I have seen that, and I'm especially talking about people from the Sanatan Dharma families. So the external appearances that the father and the mother are very good Sanatanis, but the children have a different standard. And in the name of giving modern experience to children, most of the and I would not say all, but many of the families, they create some distance that ultimately the child has to earn money. And you brought out some very important point, that our children can be trained to be doctors and engineers, but we do not train our children to be Sanatani preachers or people who can tell others about this, because that is also a good occupation in terms of spreading the knowledge and the culture. Why do you think that this kind of double standards exist? The parents will be teaching all about Sanatan Dharma, but they will not encourage their children to do that. Is it financials, or what is that?
Again, this everything lies in propaganda, like how our society has for so long has demonized our culture or our Vedic teacher. Or like in Bollywood movies, we see that a Pandit is shown in very bad light. So slowly it crept in our minds. This is wrong. This is not something great. If our society starts to appreciate our culture, then only the parents will be comfortable. Oh no, this is good. This is earlier sadhus were very much respected in our society. How much respect was there? Even a king, even if you were king, and if some sadhu used to come with all the kings used to wash their feet. So that kind of culture is missing, because Bollywood showed that all these sadhus are frauds, or only we have seen sadhus are fraud or cheats or rapists or things like that. So we have to set the narrative right. We have to this thing, and again we have nowadays, if you observe, many people who are materially successful, they're committing suicide and things like that. If you read newspaper, so many successful people, they are depressed. So we have to, if Mr. Alfred Ford, if you know, he belongs to one of the richest families. So once journalists asked him, "Okay, you come from the most famous families of America, and why you became a follower of Eastern culture?" Then he replied that yes, of course, we belong to a family where if you just write Ford State USA, the letter will reach his address, and each family member of Ford family have at least three private jets or planes for them to travel. Things like that. So much rich, they were rich. So then he told that when I saw my mother and she became alcoholic in spite of having so much, then it made him think, if so much wealth could not make her happy, then why should I just blindly follow on that footstep? So it doesn't mean that if you start following dharma or religion, then you're giving anything. No, actually, dharma is like a candle in a dark room. And when you put a candle in a dark room, then you can see what is where, and you are not afraid. So that's why we need, candlelight of dharma in our lives, so that everything is crystal clear. And you will see that whatever you are doing, if you are a businessman or if you're a politician or whatever field you were in, you will do it with more determination. But most important, you will do it right. You will not harm anybody, and you will do it right for yourself and right for society also.
No, great point you made, because sometimes these simple things are missed out, and unfortunately the propaganda is so high that the fake news, it becomes a real news because many people are repeating it.
Yeah.
My last question to you in this series, and I have many other topics laid out now for you, but my last question in this series is, what is the solution? You already said, but what is the main problem behind most of the people having such confused understanding about the Vedic Shastra?
Yeah, the most important thing is, of course, Wikipedia and things like that. Many people, they have started reading our Shastra on Google. So that is the biggest problem. And of course, we should, whenever we are deciding to read Shastra, we should understand what the author of the Shastra says. The Lord Krishna, he spoke Bhagavad Gita. He is telling that if you want to understand this knowledge, it should be coming from a right parampara. So there are parampara. So at least, there are, evam parampara praptam. So we should understand that we should read from the books of, parampara, which is genuine, not from a scholar book. Mahatma, if you read Bhagavad Gita translated by Mahatma Gandhi, then you will become most confused. Mahatma Gandhi also translated Bhagavad Gita, but if you read Gita written by Mahatma Gandhi, his commentaries, you're going to get confused. Whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken on battlefield, and this person says that it teaches that non-violence.
Or Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. That is also very confusing.
So there are so many people. So, but this unfortunately, this world has made Mahatma Gandhi like saint. But he is wrong person to speak on Bhagavad Gita, because he himself didn't understand it.
No, but when you mention parampara, people immediately revolt. He says that's one school of thought. I cannot read one school of thought. I have to read and that also logic people gave. You have to read all the Shastra before you understand. How much time people will have to read even one book, forget about all the Shastra.
No, actually, it's not. That's why we have to be sincere. Like that, many times what happens that we think that we are controlling. We are not controllers. If I am a rascal, then I will go to a rascal. So a lot depends on our sincere desire also. Devotion is not something which is going to is a cheap thing. So, but if in our desire and in our motive, if our desire is to achieve the highest, or we are sincere in our desire, then you will for sure you will Krishna will direct you to a right person or right sampradaya. And there are many sampradayas. I'm not telling that you have to come to ISKCON or Madhava sampradaya or Ramanuj sampradaya. There are many genuine sampradaya there which you can read. But of course, we should read at least what are the sampradayas, different sampradayas, and one of maybe pick one and start practicing. All of them are genuine, all of them.
That again brings you to the point. People think politics more than the philosophy or Sanatan. Like they'll say, uh, you know, why to follow this Sanatan parampara is better or this parampara is not better. And you said the right thing. Anything you follow, but be sincere to that parampara. But they bring politics in. Like for example, I really hate that discussion sometimes when people tell me that this sampradaya speaks only this. So my point to them is at least follow something. Do not, if you start reading all the shastra before you are called a shastri, good luck to you. It's impossible to read. There are four Veda, Vedanga. There's so many scriptures are there, but the essence is already given in Bhagavad Gita. They may not know Bhagavad Gita, but they'll try to talk about everything else. So what do you call such people, or what do you define them as?
Actually, I will tell them, I like to tell them, time, of course, time is the greatest teacher. Time is the greatest teacher. But how much time you have? Time is the greatest teacher, but unfortunately, it kills all its students. So if you just want to waste time, then of course you have to take thousands of births. That's also okay. Like if you want to, it's up to that individual soul. If he decides that no, okay, I will take lakhs of births, but I want to understand everything, that he can do. But point is, actually, that is many times what happens. Those telling they are not sincere in their desire. They, just for discussing, they tell all these things. But of course, maybe he can start reading Bhagavad Gita. If he says that I don't believe in Krishna, also, then what we can tell? He can start reading Bhagavad Gita and its translation, and practicing Bhagavad Gita, even if he is not. Practice the sloka, what Krishna is telling. At least we can do that.
It's the one. I want to finish the discussion, but so many things are coming out. People say this Bhagavad Gita. Why should I read this Bhagavad Gita? That Bhagavad Gita, or so many versions of Bhagavad Gita. So, which Bhagavad Gita version that you say can be best beneficial for other people?
Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, like Prabhupada says that Dr. Radha Krishna, the President of India, his translation is good. So just read bare translation, don't read the commentaries. If they have problem with commentaries, like translation, like what Krishna, if Krishna is telling that surrender unto me, then, and if author is telling surrender to Krishna, and not like Mahatma Gandhi, Krishna doesn't want to say what he's saying, he wants to say what I want to say. That is nonsense. If translation is as it is, then just follow the translation, read that translation only, don't go on commentary, and just try to follow. Simple thing.
Radha Ramanji, a lot of things to talk about, and we'll continue our discussion on various these type of topics. But it was a great discussion. For the first time, we had a very frank discussion how to become a true Sanatani, if you want to become, or if you're in USA and how you want to adopt Sanatan Dharma. It's the most scientific culture, and it's very simple. And like Radha Raman Prabhu said, it's very simple. Starts with a mantra, and then you start. Knowledge reveals yourself from within. So thank you very much, Radha Raman Prabhu, for coming and sharing your thoughts. And for the viewers who watched this discussion and who liked it, do share it on YouTube and do comment it. We're always here to answer your questions. Namaskar. Thank you.